Welcome, YouTube. Woo, hello, YouTube and Substack and other people. Hey, guys. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I was getting things sort of set up here, so sorry for the delay. Let me, let me go and grab, here it is. Grab Instagram. There we go. And then Substackers. Let me pull you up so I can find you. Uh-oh. Where's, there it is. Oh, there's one person on Substack. All right. Hello, Substacker. Singular. Terry. Hey. All right. We got a couple Substackers. Excellent. We've got YouTube. We've got Discord. All right. We're good. Oh, TikTok. Duh. I guess I can get TikTok rolling, and then we are good. All right. TikTok here. And then everything is coming up roses. All right, flip my camera. Oops, boom, TikTok is flipped. Excellent. All right, welcome everybody. There we go. All right, all my settings are good. Woo, hello. Oh, we've had very nice weather. It's 75 degrees here in Washington. Welcome, guys. Very nice day here. Our weather is still going weirdly back and forth. Like, it's not as warm as it should be, but you know, honestly. Oh, and you get a view of the dog on the couch on YouTube. TikTok. Oh, you can barely see her on TikTok. She's over here under the comments. Little bit of the dog sticking up. Anyway. Flying medic got a colonoscopy. Excellent. You know, colonoscopies are funny because you think they're horrible. The pills, or the drink used to be horrible. The pills are great. The drink is disgusting. They've now got pills that you drink with water. It's like nothing. And of course, the procedure is absolutely nothing because you're asleep. So it's actually a chance to sleep for an hour on your own, which is kind of nice. But it's kind of funny, all the scariness about colonoscopies, and like you're asleep. And now that you don't have to do the drink, it's great. Anyway, highly recommend anyway, but especially now, it is so much better than it was. Yeah, it's not as bad as you thought it would be. Exactly, Robert. I mean, it's got such a rap, but it's silly when you think about it because you're asleep. Like, I mean, you're awake and then you sleep and then you're awake and you're like, it's over? It's literally like, boom. Anyway, welcome, guys. Volume's good today. Who the hell knows why? Street Rat. I mean, it's the same setting as before, literally. Like, who the hell knows? I mean, that's good to hear, but who the hell knows? Anyway, we don't get knocked out over here for a colonoscopy? Paula, you don't? Oh, well, okay. They claim, we are going to do the news, but since we're talking colonoscopies, they claim over here that you're in a twilight. You're not in a twilight. You're asleep. I mean, maybe, I don't know if anybody, anesthesiologist or doctors with us today, maybe scientifically it's a twilight. It's not a twilight. You're asleep. You're laying down and you're asleep. But apparently, supposedly, it might be twilight-ish. That's not been the case. But what's it considered? Is it considered a sleep or twilight? That's my question. Because I think I've heard people call it twilight too, and I'm like, you're not awake. I mean, maybe, who knows? Wide awake in the UK? Get out. Wow. Interesting. Well, the only thing I will say is I have had the fentanyl or whatever the hell it is for my cataract surgery. And it's really weird because it does wipe your memory. Very strange thing. But colonoscopy, forget it. I don't recall. Cataract surgery, I remember kind of waking up. Because I wake up during surgeries. It's not good. But I remember waking up during cataract surgery. Colonoscopy, there was no waking up that I remember. Anyway. All right, let's get rolling, guys. Welcome. That's enough about colonoscopies. Welcome. I'm John Aravosis. This is my show. We talk about the latest news. We've got a lot of Iran news. We actually have a lot of Ukraine news today. So that'll be interesting because we've talked a lot about Ukraine in the past. I mean, we do. We talk about it a lot. And let me just look here. There's just a lot of Ukraine news today. So we're going to get into that too, which is, one of our favorite topics. So no problem there. Otherwise, welcome, guys. As always, keep the gifts coming. I do this for a living, so I very much appreciate your gifts on TikTok and YouTube and everywhere else. You can even become a paid monthly subscriber. That's a super fan on TikTok. I do a special show on the weekends, 11 o'clock Saturdays, most Saturdays. for like TikTok, YouTube, Discord, Substack for the paid monthly subscribers. Just as a thank you, because I figured, might as well give you guys something for being supporters, So that's the special show I do on the weekends for you guys. But anyway, with no further ado, thank you, Lady Bond, for the gift. Let's get rolling. There's a lot of news today. As always, let's see how quickly I get through it. Like sometimes I think, and I will say this for anybody who's new. I do try to check out your comments and questions like I do, but it takes a while to, thank you. And Jennifer just signed up as a new member. Thank you, Jennifer. Speaking of the devil. I do try to look at the comments and stuff. I still come here prepared with like 4 pages of notes. So I often I try to get through my notes first, but I will still grab comments as we go through. And then once I'm done with my notes, then it's all comments. So then it could be 15 minutes, it could be half an hour, it just depends, of us just hanging out, any questions you got. So now I will say the other, I can't do it on here, that's right. I was looking here, but I can't set it up. I'd have to go on YouTube directly, don't I? That's too bad, okay. Anyway, there's a YouTube thing where you can set up for questions, but I can't do it here on using StreamYard. It's okay. All right, let's get rolling. So Iran. More weirdness with Iran. Okay, before I even get to the news with Iran, this is the news with Iran. I want to give you the leitmotif, the overview of what's going on. So we're 65 days into this war in Iran. And Trump last week claimed, what did he say? Iran didn't shut down the Strait of Hormuz. I shut down the Strait of Hormuz. I watched him say this. He goes, and in fact, the Iranians have been begging me to reopen it, but I said no. Because we can go for weeks, we can go for months. We're not afraid. We're going to break them. Because the idea was Iran is stopping us from getting oil, or the world from getting oil, but we're stopping Iran from getting everything. We've got a blockade of everything that Iran ships in and out by boat. So Trump said, we're in no rush. We don't care. Remember how Trump kept saying, America barely gets any oil anyway from there. We don't care. We're keeping it shut. And let's wait for the next few weeks, few months until Iran is desperate for a deal. Well, 4 days later, Trump caved. I don't mean to laugh because it's national security and it's incredibly dangerous, but I laugh because he's so pathetic. He literally last week said, we will go months if we have to. I don't care. He goes, I shut the strait. Iran is desperate, but I shut the strait, right? Well, today he tried to use the military to reopen. Well, okay, last night he flip-flopped. He tacoed. I should have made that the title on TikTok today. Multiple tacos. Taco times 3. So last night he put out the word via Barik Ravid of Axios. He put out the word that he was going to have escorts, military escorts, force their way through the Strait of Hormuz, and they were going to use the U.S. Navy to forcibly a triple taco is like a triple axel, right? Where there's like the Olympics of skating, except these are the Olympics of flip-flopping, a triple double axel. So he claimed last night to the news that, Trump is going to use the Navy to force open the Strait of Hormuz. Well, then today we find out, no, he's not. No, he's not. He didn't. He really didn't. Today, Trump had 2 vessels that were like U.S. flagged or whatever, but they were U.S. commercial vessels. And he sent the U.S. Navy first to look for mines, and then the U.S. vessels followed. So there were like 2 vessels, 2 ships that followed and were able to get out because the U.S. Navy was to check if there were mines first. But again, last night, Trump had made the decision that he was going to bust through the strait. He was going to blow up the Iranian Navy or whatever the hell they're using. But he was going to thank you, Sadie. Appreciate that. He was going to blast through the Strait of Hormuz and reopen it. He backed off today and decided he was just going to send a couple ships through to look for mines and tell the ships to follow him. Well, what happens? The Iranian Navy opens up fire. The Iranians claim that they struck a U.S. Navy ship. The U.S. Navy says no. In normal times, under a normal presidency, I would say the Iranians are full of it, and I would believe the U.S. military. Under Donald Trump, who's a pathological liar, I wouldn't believe the U.S. military. So it's entirely possible the Iranians struck a U.S. ship today. We don't know. And we have no way of knowing unless We have no way of knowing because Trump lies. So that's what happened today. But again, they got 2 ships out. There's typically like 150 ships a day. They got 2. Okay. Then Trump does a tweet, one of his tweets that's like, well, on his own social media thing, but it's a tweet that's like this big. I mean, I may have it on here. I've got to see. I do have it on here. It's going to be too hard for me to pull up. It's ridiculously enormous. And it's all him explaining about, again, we're going to try to reopen the strait and maybe the Europeans, and I've got a coalition of countries that I need to join me. You get it. He panicked. I mean, whenever Trump writes a tweet that's this long, he's in a panic. So that's what happened. I'm going to look up. I may have hit all my notes on that initial Iran stuff anyway, without even looking. So that's what's up. He totally flip-flopped last week. I mean, again, what's important about this is last week, Trump told the world and the Iranians that I don't care if the Strait of Hormuz is closed. And you didn't close it, Iran. I closed it. Iran. He literally said, the Iranians came to us and they begged us to reopen the strait. But I said no. because they're going to need to be punished or whatever the hell it was. He also, by the way, you know what else Trump said this weekend? This was incredibly irresponsible. Actually, that's right. They fired at the United Arab Emirates as well. They fired 3 missiles at the UAE as well. Trump was asked and said, oh, well, if the Iranians fired on the U.S. Navy and they fired 3 missiles at the UAE, they fired 3 missiles at the UAE, then isn't that evidence that the ceasefire has failed? No. Well, it's not a ceasefire if the other guy's firing at you, right? But, whatever. What else was I going to say with this? That's it for that. Europe, and this is funny too. Trump has NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte, who is basically Trump's lapdog. And Trump has Rutte now begging the Europeans to get involved in the war still. Again, this is the war that Trump doesn't need the Europeans. He's got everything under control, right? But Rutte today came out, according to Bloomberg, and said that NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte warned European leaders that U.S. President Donald Trump is disappointed with their reluctance to assist with the war in Iran. Oh, he's disappointed, is he? Boo-hoo. Honestly, guys, I think the Europeans should tell Trump to go to hell. I really think they should tell Trump to go to hell at this point. It's not your war. It's our war. We started it. We screwed it up. It's not going well. I mean, the very reason why Trump had to try to barge through with those ships today is because the blockade has failed. The blockade that he said was going to go on for months, it went on for 5 days, right after he said it was going to go on for months, because we were going to hold out and we were going to beat the Iranians in the blockade. After 5 days, he caved. He's desperate to get shipping going again. Prices are going through the roof. Gasoline prices, I'm going to talk about in a second. Oil and gasoline prices. Actually, I'll tell you right now. Oil and gasoline prices. The last time I checked about an hour ago, West Texas oil was up 4% today. Brent was up 5%, the British oil. Trump campaigned on gasoline under $2 a gallon. I'm going to show you this video. So Trump, when he ran for president last year, or year and a half ago now, our elections are 3 months before he comes to office, Trump... Hi, dog. We're going to whine again? Yes, we are. Trump was campaigning for the presidency this time, and he promised many things. But 2 of the big things he promised was he was going to decrease gasoline prices to under $2 a gallon, under $2 a gallon. And he was going to overall cut energy prices in half, he promised. Now, gasoline, he promised it would be under $2 a gallon. Today, gasoline hit $4.44 a gallon. Actually, it's a little higher. I think it's at $4.47. I sort of pulled it up on, I got this from somewhere else that was a little bit earlier. Let me give you this, actually. U.S. gas prices were over $4 nationally. Oh, and the other thing is, so the Trump people keep claiming, oh, well, it was much worse under Joe Biden. Guess what? I actually believed it for a minute. It wasn't much worse under Joe Biden. U.S. gasoline prices were over $4 nationally, right? They're over $4 now with Trump. U.S. gasoline prices were over $4 nationally under Joe Biden only from March to August 2022. That was it. March to August of 2022 was the only time in Biden's entire presidency that gasoline prices, that a regular price of gasoline on average broke $4. They're $4.47 today with Donald Trump. So and diesel prices have already beaten what Biden had. Illinois, Michigan, and Wisconsin. Yep, Wisconsin, Illinois, and Michigan. All three states have hit an all-time high for diesel fuel prices. All-time, forever high. They've never been higher for diesel prices. So they keep trying to claim, Joe Biden. I think this is the quote of Trump. Oh, here we go. Somebody else had put this together.
Under the Trump economic plan, we will cut your energy prices in half within, mark it down, and you can get very angry at me if we don't do it. Within 12 months, your energy prices will be cut in half.
Within 12 months, your energy prices. We are in month 15 of Trump's presidency this time around. He promised within 12 months he would cut energy prices in half. Oil prices are up 50%. No, actually, oil prices are doubled. Gasoline prices are up around 60%. He said he was going to cut them in half. They've doubled. No, they haven't doubled. They've gone up by half.
Plan will cut energy prices in half or more than that within 12 months of taking office. Number one, your energy bill within 12 months will be cut in half, and that's my pledge all over the country. Beyond farmers, that's my pledge all over the country. If you vote for me, I will cut your energy.
Yeah, I'm sure it was taken out of context. Right? Yeah, 600%. He's going to cut your energy bill 600%. Again, this is how much he lied. And this is how significant. I didn't even remember that he had said that, right? Gasoline prices were going to go down to under $2. They're now $4.47. They were going to go under $2. Then they lied and said, oh, they were much higher under Joe Biden. They broke $4 under Joe Biden for a period of, what did we say, 3 to 8 would be 5 months. For a period of 5 months of Biden's entire presidency, for 5 months, they broke $4. That was it. And then they came back down again. We've now had, it was like January that this shit started. January to May is 4 months. So we're 3.5 months into this already. Let's see. What else we got now? Let me find this. Hang on a second. There's a ton more news here. Trump said today, Trump also said today that the U.S. will be taking over Cuba almost immediately. He's planning another war. He's planning another invasion. The U.S. will take over Cuba almost immediately. So now we've got another country that we're going to be in charge of. Again, right? How many wars? That's another Trump promise. Trump promised us when he was running for election. Trump said he was going to end the foreign wars. He was going to stop us getting involved. He especially mentioned the Middle East. Oh, these Middle East wars, we got to stop them. This guy's a nonstop war machine. Right? Now he wants to increase the defense budget from $1 trillion a year. Trillion. Our defense budget's $1 trillion. From $1 trillion a year to $1.5 trillion. He wants to increase it almost 50%. So he can fight more wars because of all the wars he's fighting. Again, he promised to end the foreign wars. That was his big promise. And he now needs to increase the defense budget 50% because he has so many wars planned, including Cuba coming next. Right? And he was going to invade, remember he was going to invade Greenland? He was going to go to war with NATO, and he planned that was going to happen at Christmas, and then he got chicken, and he backed off, right? He's threatened Canada. He's threatened to invade Panama and take back the Panama Canal. He's been blowing up the ships off of Venezuela in the Caribbean. He threatened to invade Gaza. Actually, he did threaten to go to, remember, with Gaza, Trump initially pledged that we were going to go into Gaza and we were going to go door to door and get rid of all the terrorists. That was his plan. That would have been the worst war ever. Let's face it. Israel, whatever you think of them, they've got a pretty good military, right? Even if you don't like them, they've got a good military. And Israel's been fighting these guys for 3 years. Actually, 2022, 2025, 3.5 years. Israel's been fighting them. And, right? Not easy. Door to door, we're going to go door to door looking for terrorists, our military. Really? So, crazy shit this guy's been doing. Ukraine. a number of different Ukraine stories. Let me get into some of these. And then we got some other stories after this too, not Ukraine stories. Frank Luntz. Frank Luntz is a Republican pollster, and he was citing a new article in Forbes. Listen to this. Russian forces in Ukraine captured 68 square miles last month. It cost them 4,800 vehicles and more than 36,600 dead and wounded troops. At the current rate of advance, Russia would capture the rest of Ukraine in the year 2256 at the cost of 101 million casualties. That's how poorly Russia's doing in this war. Now, Ukraine's actually doing much better. I would say right now, Ukraine is actually winning, but winning is difficult because it still is a war of attrition in many ways, meaning you're winning, but you're winning slowly, right? They were losing slowly, and now they're winning slowly. So it's still going to take a long time. But for a country like Russia, it's bad enough to be in a war of attrition and be in a quagmire, basically. Now they're in a quagmire where they're losing a lot of men, and they're losing ground. Speaking of which, we talked about a couple weeks ago. I was asking you guys we were talking about the number of Russian casualties. And we were saying the number of, actually this is actually killed versus wounded. We talked about it. We said, what's the ratio of how many Russian soldiers are killed versus how many are wounded? And I remember at the time, I was telling you guys that typically it's supposed to be 20 or 25% like killed or wounded versus, killed versus 75% wounded, right? And I remember saying the Russians were like flipped. Here's the data I found today. Ukraine currently assesses that 2 Russian soldiers are being killed for every 1 wounded. It's 2 for 1 killed to wounded. For every 1 wounded Russian, 2 are dying. Again, it's supposed to be the opposite. Actually, they gave the number. This is far outside the historical norm of 1 killed to 3 to 5 wounded. So normally it's 1 killed to 3 wounded or 5 wounded. So between 3 and 5, which would get you 33% killed to 20%. So 20% killed to 33% killed. Typical. In terms of all service members that are hit, injured, what percent die? 20% to 33. In the Russian case, it's 66% are dying instead of 20 to 33. 66. It's pretty bad. Good, but bad. There's growing concern. This was Politico had an interesting article. I'm going to read some paragraphs in the article from Politico talking about growing concern that the Russians may invade Europe and soon. And I thought it was interesting because my immediate reaction was, I get why you're saying they would, but at the same time, Russia's not doing well in Ukraine. They've lost a lot of men. They've lost a lot of equipment. Doesn't that make them less likely to go to another war in Europe? Interesting arguments here from the Europeans. I want to read this to you. Defense officials and lawmakers fear the Kremlin will consider the next year or two, while Donald Trump is still in the White House and the European Union has yet to reinforce its military capacity, as the time to test the West's commitment to NATO, according to 3 EU politicians with direct knowledge of the discussions. While defense officials and policymakers don't rule out Putin launching a ground offensive inside a NATO country, they say it's unlikely given how stretched Russia is in Ukraine. So in other words, they don't think Putin's going to literally invade Poland and try to take Poland, right? Because he's in so much trouble in Ukraine. So that's what I was saying. Okay, then what would he do? Instead, it's far more likely he'll do something more targeted or carry out an incursion designed to create ambiguity, hoping to sow division in NATO over whether the action meets the threshold to trigger its Article 5 mutual defense clause. It could be a small psychological thing that makes us scared. If Putin feels that kind of escalation makes us weaker and makes us feel threatened and reduces support for Ukraine. Pull up my notes. Oops, sorry. Dropping the notes and don't want the dog to eat them. Escalating the Ukraine conflict to some other theaters could give Russia a card to play with. The war is exhausting its resources. So they're looking for a way out. And that way out is not peace negotiations, it's expanding the conflict. I'm going to read a little more, but the idea is that Putin is thinking, I need to expand the conflict. I need to start freaking out NATO. I need to start, again, freak out the Balkans, do some kind of drone attack, start doing things that make the rest of NATO go, uh-oh, even though it would be dumb for Putin to expand the war. He's crazy. He's desperate. He may expand the war anyway. We better reach a peace deal fast. Now, I am not convinced, as a soon-to-be newly European, I am not convinced that the Europeans are going to turn around and go, oh, Putin's scaring us. We better cut a deal. I don't know. I mean, in the old days, maybe. The current European leaderships, I mean, the problem is, next year what happens? What if we get a crazy, neo-Enzy government in the UK, right? What if we get that in France? There's chances of it happening in both countries. Then things get a little scarier, right? So that's one of the officials said, if there is no attack across the border, the U.S. might say this is not strategically important. Anyway, that's the idea. So the idea is, the other aspect to think about with this is that Trump is basically making it more likely for the Russians to invade, because Trump's taking out U.S. troops. I'm going to get to that in a second. Trump's removing 5,000 U.S. troops from Germany. Actually, I'll tell you right now, 5,000 troops from Germany. They delineated today who the troops would be. And initially, people were thinking Trump was going to remove troops that didn't really matter. I mean, they mattered, but they were administrative troops or whatever. Trump is removing 5,000 of the frontline troops that we routinely deploy to Eastern Europe, to like Romania, Poland, other places. We routinely deploy them to Eastern Europe. Thank you, Just Max. Keep the gifts coming, guys. Appreciate that on TikTok. And they're the troops that would be used if Putin were to invade Europe. Trump is quite literally making it easier and more likely for Vladimir Putin to invade Europe and pull it off. That's who he is. I mean, that's who the man is. As I always say, Trump always says Russia, 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 as if somehow that's to prove that he isn't under Putin's finger. And yet everything Trump does practically seems done to benefit Vladimir Putin. And once again, Trump is doing things not just to benefit Vladimir Putin. Trump is doing things that make war in Europe more likely, that make a Russian invasion more likely. And if that happens, America's going to war. I mean, Trump can say all he wants. I think even Donald Trump wouldn't be able to stop it. If the Russians invaded Europe, even Donald Trump would not be able to stop America's intervention in the war. Trump would try to say, no, they haven't paid me off. They haven't bought enough of my Bitcoin, right? For him to go to war. But I think between the U.S. military and Republicans in Congress, I think even Republicans have really lost who they are, right? Republicans have lost a sense of who they really are. But I think even Republicans, a lot of them would say, okay, this is, literally Putin's moving across Europe. We've got to go to war. And then we've got a war. I mean, Trump is making it more likely that we go to war in Europe. And frankly, war with the Russians would be World War III. I mean, it's funny. Everyone kept asking about World War III over the last 4 years with Ukraine. Oh, are we approaching World War III? And I always said no. Now, it's not happening yet. But is it more likely to happen because of what Donald Trump is doing? Yes, it is, which is very scary. He's emboldening our enemies. He's emboldening Vladimir Putin. And again, if Putin goes to war in Europe, we're going to war in Europe. And I'm not going to war in Europe because I'm too old. A lot of you are going, which is not cool. What else we got here? May 9th. So May 9th is the Russian... Every May 9th, thank you, Chazak, Russia likes to have a parade to pretend that it single-handedly beat the Germans in World War II. It didn't. The Russians did a good job. So did the Brits. So did the Australians. So did a lot of people. I mean, a lot of Europeans. A lot of Canadians. I mean, a lot of people from... I'm not going to list because there's like literally, probably 50 countries or something. I'm not going to list them all. Frankly, a lot of Americans died and made a big impact in World War II as well. But the Russians like to pretend that they were the only people who made the victory possible in World War II against the Germans. And they have a big parade on May 9th to celebrate how Russia, Gurkhas too, I didn't know that, how Russia saved the world. What the Russians don't tell you is two things. One, Russia helped cause World War II. Russia helped embolden the Germans to invade Europe and start the entire thing. They also don't tell you that how when the war ended, Russia decided to basically take the Germans' place and capture half of Europe and turn it into an evil communist dictatorship for nearly 50 years. They imprisoned millions of Europeans in horrific, brutal communist dictatorships. Killing people. I mean, students tried to rise up in Czechoslovakia and Hungary, slaughtered them, brought in tanks and slaughtered these students. I mean, horrific what the Russians did, just as bad as the Germans. But let's talk about the first one really quick, too, because I love this story. Not Putin, but the Stalin, the Soviet leader at the time, gets together with the German leaders, and basically his foreign minister, was it Ribbentrop and Molotov, get together and work out a pact, a secret pact, or it was a pact that had a secret codicil, a secret part of it, where basically they split up Europe. And the Russians gave the Germans permission to start World War II and said, go on and invade the rest of Europe, and don't worry, Russia, we're your friend, and we're going to sign on the dotted line so that you can go and invade Europe and have fun, Mr. H, running Germany in World War II. Because we know Russia is your biggest fear, and you would freak out if the Russians were to attack, because then you got a two-front war. Then Germany in the middle would have to fight Russia to the east, and France and England and America to the west, right? But if you reach a peace treaty with the Russians, and the Russians say, go for it, they were fine. So that's what the Russians did. Well, 2 years into the war, what happens? Putin, I keep calling him Putin, the German leader basically stabs the Russians in the back and invaded Russia. Well, the Russians didn't have a choice but to go to war with Germany because the Germans invaded Russia. So it's not like Russia, bravely. Now, mind you, we played games too. America didn't get involved in the war until the Japanese attacked Pearl Harbor in Hawaii, right? But nonetheless, so that's what the Russians are doing. The Russians are doing their big, hello dog, I know. The Russians are doing their big holiday on May 9th. They have a big parade, and they usually have a ton of military equipment and everything else. They're not having a ton of it this year because they don't have any left because of the war in Ukraine. And they're really, 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 really afraid that the Ukrainians, that the Ukrainians are going to basically have some kind of massive drone assault on Moscow to go after the parade. They've been putting up netting, which apparently does work, like fish netting kind of stuff, where the drones kind of, either hit the nets and explode or get tangled or whatever. But what, interestingly with this, the Russians are desperate for a ceasefire so they can have their little parade, because Putin gets there with all the leaders and the military leaders. They're out in the public, right? And Putin is worried about getting blown up with all of his military brass, his top leadership. So Putin would like nothing better than to have a ceasefire with Ukraine. Now, the question is, why should Ukraine give them a ceasefire, right? I mean, like, if you're Ukraine, right? Like, first of all, Ukraine's now doing better than Russia in the war, A, so why should Ukraine stop? B, why should Ukraine give Russia time off to have a parade that doesn't benefit you? Ukraine's not having a parade, right? Well, guess who is helping the Russians to try to have a ceasefire? Donald Trump. Trump reached out to the Russians, but not the Ukrainians, and has been negotiating a ceasefire for May 9th so that Putin can have his parade unencumbered by the Ukrainians. Hasn't even talked to the Ukrainians about it. Thank you, Pingu, for that. Zelensky said today, Americans discussed May 9th ceasefire with Russians. No one contacted us officially. Nothing has been officially proposed. This is Russia's war against Ukraine. America and Russia are not at war with each other. What ceasefire are they even discussing? It's not serious. He's been discussing. I mean, it boggles. Oh, you want more water? Okay. Dog wants more water. Let's do a quick water break for the dog. 30 seconds. I'll be back. All right. A little more water. All right. Okay. Okay. Here you go. There you go. You do not get more treats. No, you don't get more treats. No, you don't. Sorry. I bathed, my friend Damien helped me bathe the dog today. Give her a beautiful bath. She looks great. What does she do? She goes on my balcony, and she decided last night for some reason it was the season to eat my geraniums. She hasn't done this since she's 16 years old. She hasn't done this since she was a puppy. I go out there. Her face is in my geraniums. There's a clump of the geranium on the sidewalk. I mean, on my balcony, on the cement, dirt everywhere, face of dirt. I'm like, I was pissed. I was like, are you freaking kidding? I didn't say freaking, of course. I was like, are you freaking kidding me? After what? Anyway, whatever. So yes, so that's what's going on. So Trump is trying to get a ceasefire for Putin. This was neat. A Ukrainian teenager was one of the finalists in a karate championship, and I believe he was the number 2 or the number 3, so gold or bronze or silver. And the number 1, I believe, was a Russian also won. I think the Russian might have been number 1. This is in Spain. Well, it says Guadalajara, Spain. I guess, is there a Guadalajara in Spain? I'm assuming there is. And I'm thinking Guadalajara is Mexico, and the person who wrote this didn't know, some European, but never mind, could be Spain. Nonetheless, they asked the Ukrainian kid, the Ukrainian karate kid, to basically do a shot with the Russian afterwards, and he said no. Check this out. It's really good. Look at him. He waves. He goes, nope, not going to happen. I'll let it loop again. And then people start cheering him. Check it out. He's standing there on the far right, and they wanted all 3 kids to get on the stand together. And he was like, nope, not going to happen. Yep. Very nice. That was very cool. I thought that was very cool. What else we got? Comey. Oh, so the Comey stuff. So the Comey stuff is interesting. Comey, you know this with Comey, right? Trump is trying to put all of his political enemies in prison. Of course, it's illegal. Of course, it's what the Soviets did. Of course, it's what the communist Chinese do. It's what America does now, too, which is why I'm telling you, like, I wouldn't come here for the World Cup, but whatever, at your own risk. He's now going after Comey. Comey's the FBI director, or was the FBI director, a Republican. They're all Republicans, which is the funny part. They're all like, oh, they're, evil left-wing enemies, except that they're all Republicans. So Comey's a Republican. He was the FBI director when Trump was in office at the beginning. He basically helped Trump get elected, of all things. And Trump hates him now because he was critical of Trump and, this kind of crap, right? Trump, whatever, right? Trump's always hating everybody. So Trump decided to throw him in prison for no reason. Well, first they tried and claimed he lied to Congress. And the judge threw it out because the judge said, no, he didn't lie to Congress. So the judge threw it out. Now he's trying to claim, oops, sorry, dog. Are we having a problem? There you go. The bed's, is that a little better? All right. Oh, God. I washed her bed. Oh, God. I'm sorry. I washed her bed, and it's having a little bit. Okay, there we go. I washed the dog's bed, and it's a little lopsided. It's a big cat bed that's kind of like an oyster, and it's a bit like lopsided, so she keeps trying to climb in and falling out. But I just adjusted it, so I think we're good at the moment. So Trump is, so he's now trying to throw Comey in prison. They tried to throw him in prison claiming that, oh, he lied under oath. Well, the judge was so pissed because it was such a bad case, the judge threw it out. Now they're trying to claim Comey admitted he was plotting Trump's assassination. We've talked, you guys know what's going on with this, but there's some updates. Comey was walking on the beach last year, whenever it was, and he sees some seashells. And somebody had taken some seashells and wrote 8647. 47 means Donald Trump, the 47th president. It's a term that Republicans use it more than Democrats, I would say, but Democrats might use it too, to refer to the president by his number, the 47th, 47. 86 means to get rid of. It's a term, restaurants especially, but it means get rid of, take it off the menu, kill the order, but I use kill colloquially, meaning, oh, kill that order. It doesn't mean to shoot the order, right? It just means, don't do that order of food. Well, Trump is claiming that, and this is my favorite, Trump is claiming not only does 8647 mean assassinate Trump, but it means Comey has openly admitted that he's planning to. And I'm going like, are you people insane? First of all, no moron. I mean, Comey is like, he was the FBI director. He's not stupid enough to publicly say, yes, I am planning to blah, blah, blah Donald Trump. I don't want to use these words because, right? TikTok. But I'm planning to blah, blah, blah Donald Trump. And sure he is. Second of all, 86 doesn't mean that. Well, Blanche gets asked, and I want to play this. If this is the one.
There's a lot of things that we can be doing, like voter ID.
Oh, this is the one.
Well, the image, excuse me, is part of what led to this indictment.
Yes.
It is worth noting that on Amazon.com, we looked this up, there are dozens of products with the same terminology. We're showing it right here, 8647 being sold and purchased right now. Should individuals selling or buying 8647 merchandise be concerned that they're going to be prosecuted by the DOJ.
This isn't about a single incident. Okay, this isn't. I mean, of course not. That's posted constantly. That phrase is used constantly. There are constantly men and women who choose to make threatening statements against President Trump. Every one of those statements do not result in indictments. Of course, there are facts, there are circumstances, there are investigations that have to take place, and we have charged dozens and dozens of men and women this year with threat.
So here's the problem he's got. It's hypocrisy, and it's going to hurt them in court. The indictment, and they tried to do some other bullshit this weekend I'll tell you about. The indictment says, it's a very short indictment, and it says he didn't even arrange them, he took a picture of it. He posted a picture of seashells that said he planned to assassinate Donald Trump. Is what they, total bullshit, right? He literally posted a picture of seashells he saw on the beach and said, this is funny. But, oh no, he confessed that he was planning to assassinate Trump, they claimed. But he gets asked, okay, but you've got all of these other people who admitted that they're planning to assassinate Donald Trump as well. Are you going to go after them too? No, that would be silly. Why would it be silly? You said that whenever anybody writes 8647, it means they are planning, not just that they like the idea. First of all, it's bullshit to even claim that it means killing. It doesn't. But they're claiming, oh, it doesn't just mean killing. It means the person posting it is actively planning to do the crime. So, well, if the person's planning to do the crime, why would you say, oh no, we're not going to go after those people who are actively admitting that they're planning to take out the president of the United States? Why would you not go after them? That's insane. Because they're not your political enemy. Because you weren't ordered to take them out by Donald Trump. You were ordered to take them out when they're James Comey. That's the first thing. The other thing is, and a friend of mine pointed this out, hey, that's enough. The other thing was that a friend of mine pointed out, this weekend, Blanche goes, I don't have him saying this, I think. He goes, oh, it's not. Our indictment isn't based on the seashells. Oh, thank you. Thank you, Brown-Eyed. Keep the gifts coming, guys. Appreciate it. He goes, our indictments aren't based on the seashells. Our indictments are based on, we have much other information we've collected about him that our indictment is really about. And my friend goes, well, if the indictment isn't about the seashells, then why is the indictment about the seashells? If you pull up the entire indictment is about the, I'm going to see if I can find it actually. I read it. The entire indictment is about the seashells. And now Blanche is saying, oh, it's not about the seashells. And that's why he's also saying, no, you could put those seashells on T-shirts and they're totally okay. But if it's about some other evidence you found that proves that Comey is planning to take out Donald Trump, you didn't present that to the grand jury. Why didn't you present it to the grand jury? You got the indictment based exclusively on the seashells, and you've already admitted that the seashell message itself is insufficient for an indictment. So even the Attorney General has admitted that his indictment is bullshit. I mean, it's insane, guys. It's absolutely, hold on, Comey indictment text. Here we go. Get my glasses. Here we go. Comey indictment text. Let's see if I can pull this up. Again, it's not very long. On or about May 15th, 2025, in North Carolina, James Bryant Comey Jr. did knowingly and willfully make a threat to take the life of and to inflict bodily harm upon. So they're saying by posting the seashells, you're saying you're going to do it. Bullshit, right? Inflict bodily harm upon the President of the United States in that he publicly posted a photograph on the internet social media site Instagram, which depicted seashells arranged in a pattern, 8647, which a reasonable recipient who is familiar with the circumstances would interpret as a serious expression of an intent to do harm to the President of the United States. That's it, guys. There's one more sentence in the indictment. That's it. There's nothing else in the indictment. And now they're saying, oh, it has nothing to do with the seashells. But the indictment exclusively deals with the seashells. So either, honestly, I'd be very curious to see what this happens in court. When they go to court and go, Your Honor, they admitted the indictment was based on the seashells, and they admitted the seashells are insufficient. Now, they're trying to claim they found other evidence. I think I will guarantee. Let's find out. But I think what they found was probably, and even this I think is unlikely. First of all, they're liars, so I don't think they found any other evidence. But I think at best they found, a text message of somebody going, "Oh, did you see somebody was planning to shoot Trump or something like that?" And Comey responded, "Too bad they didn't do it," or something, right? My guess is, and first of all, I don't think Comey would write that anyway. But my suspicion is that's the kind of evidence they've got. And they're going to say, oh, that means he was planning to do it. And if they're going to claim that, they're going to have to go after a third to half of the country. If saying that, right, gets you thrown in prison, I'd say probably a third of the country is going to be in prison, if that's the case. Thank you, Andy. So we'll see. We'll see. Let me see what else we've got here. There are more stories. Oh, Blanche, this was great too. They're trying to fuck with the elections and everything, as you guys well know. And Blanche, who's the new Attorney General, says this to explain why we have to have, basically, they want to make you have IDs for voting, but it's really complicated because they're wanting to make you basically use a passport or a birth certificate, which most Americans don't. Half of Americans don't have passports. I'd say most Americans don't know where their birth certificate is. And this is the excuse that Trump's Attorney General used for why we should require this for voting. Listen, it's quick. Oh, hang on.
Is that there's a lot of things that we can be doing, like voter ID. Like every time you walk into a restaurant or a club, you have to show your ID. How about you have to show your ID to vote? That's not anything.
Every time you walk into a restaurant, you have to show your ID? What restaurants is this guy going to? Right? People who drink in a restaurant have to show their ID. By the way, no, young people. I don't get carded anymore. Young people who drink in restaurants have to get carded. Every time you enter a restaurant, you have to show an ID. He goes, every time you enter a restaurant or a club. No, when you enter a club, you've got to show an ID. When you enter a restaurant, you don't have to show. Oh, strip clubs. Okay, that was very funny. Somebody goes, oh, maybe it's another kind of club he's entering, or maybe you need to show an ID. Strip clubs or more so, right? Enton, CNN's Harry Enton on a number of new polls out as well. I'm going to talk you through. CNN's Harry Enton. Trump has the lowest net approval rating ever for the president. Trump was 24 points underwater in August 2018. He is now 25 points underwater. Trump's proposal to increase defense spending from $1 trillion to $1.5 trillion. How do people feel about that? According to the Washington Post ABC poll, 32% support increasing the defense budget to $1.5 trillion, 65% oppose. Independents, 21% support, 75% oppose. Even among Republicans, only 67% support, 30% oppose. Keep among Republicans, the number should be 90% with Trump in general, right? Trump support is plummeting among Republican-leaning independents. These are independents who usually vote Republican. Harry Enton said, take a look at this shift. Oh my, GOP-leaning independents on Trump. In the 2024 election, he got 91% of the leaning Republican independent voters, 91%. But down he goes, now at 53% on the job approval ratings. That's a 38-point drop from where he was in 2014. That is a core group for Trump. The same poll, percentage of Americans who say Trump isn't in good enough physical health to serve effectively. In May of 2023, it was 28%. In January 2024, it was 40%. September 2025, 45% who said Trump is not in good enough physical health to serve. February 2026, 51%. That's just February, 3 months ago. 51% of Americans said he wasn't physically fit enough. Today, 55%. The number jumped 4%, almost 10% in 3 months. 55% of Americans think Trump is not physically there, and I suspect it's here, to serve as president. Pete Hegseth, I want to correct this one too. So Pete Hegseth, our defense secretary, in preparation for God knows what, I have to be nice, TikTok doesn't like us talking about these topics, but what do? We're a democracy and we got to talk about this stuff. Pete Hegseth, our defense secretary, keeps talking, and he keeps lying about this, and CNN corrected him today, keeps lying about how Joe Biden sent lots of troops to polling places when he was president, he didn't send any, by the way, and none of them went to polling places. But he goes, Joe Biden sent 15 states, Joe Biden sent troops to polling places, places where you vote. Now, he's lying. I'm going to tell you why he's lying in a second. But why is the Secretary of Defense repeatedly saying on TV that Joe Biden sent troops to polling places, right? Why is he saying it? Is he planning on doing it? I mean, why is he trying to say it's normal to do this, right? Listen to this from CNN. I love this. One, it wasn't Biden. It was state governors. Biden didn't send any troops. Governors of not 15 states, but 11 states activated the National Guard. And did they send them to polling places? No. They used them behind the scenes for security. So basically, cybersecurity and other things, they used them literally behind the scenes to help ensure the security. For example, the security of the ballot place, outside, to make sure nobody could get in or whatever. So it wasn't Biden. It wasn't 15 states. It was 11. And not a single soldier was sent to a polling place. Not a single one. They were used for security, and that was it. But why do these guys keep lying about this, right? You do the math. Trump bragging again about his cognitive test. This is interesting to me that Trump can't stop talking about the cognitive tests. In the last week, Trump has brought up multiple times how he's the only president to take 3 cognitive tests or tests to see if you've got dementia. And he keeps bragging that he's the only president. First, he kept bragging he was the only one to take it 3 times. Now he's bragging he's the only one taking it at all. And everyone should take it. What he's not understanding is your doctor doesn't usually just have you take a cognitive test for fun. They take it because they're worried about you having dementia or something similar, Alzheimer's. Doctors really don't have, and as somebody just said, Sleeping just said, they really don't have you take 3 of them. The only reason they're taking 3 cognitive tests, 3 dementia tests, is they're tracking your dementia, right? Or, thank you, OC, or they think you are at such a huge risk of having Alzheimer's that they keep checking or something, right? There's no, I have to play this for you. The problem is Trump is so, he's so, to use his words, low IQ. He has no idea what he's confessing to when he says, my doctor had me take 3 cognitive tests. And my other thing is he talks about how hard they were. And a number of people who know these tests said, cognitive tests really aren't that hard. They're hard if you have dementia. He goes, they're not generally that hard. And Trump goes, oh, they were really hard, but I'm really smart. So, and by the way, smart has nothing to do with it. Cognitive tests have to do with whether you have dementia or not. Listen to this.
In my opinion, anybody running for president or vice president should take a cognitive test. And no president has ever taken one except me. I've taken 3 of them, and I've aced each one. 1 in the first administration, 2 over here. And whenever they get a little sassy, like, does he still have it? Does he still have what it takes? I say, all right, I'll take another one. And they are hard. There are many people in this room I know that are smart. They're not going to ace them. There are many people standing back there, the fake news.
They're hard.
I'd like to have them, the first question is very easy, and they always show the first question is, you have a lion, a bear, an alligator, and what's another good? A squirrel, okay? Which is the squirrel? Yeah. So they show that question. And then the first 4 or 5 questions they get a little more difficult. By the time you get to the middle, they're tough. By the time you get to the end, I don't want to be insulting, but there won't be. I'm not going to do what Gavin Newsom said. You saw him? He said everybody in here is stupid, and he's stupid. I think it was the worst political interview I've ever seen. He said he's, in my opinion, anybody running for president or vice president.
This was in the last 2 days. Pretty sure this was the last 2 days. It was very recent. This video is recent, but I think it was the last 2 days. Yeah, that's our boy. That's our boy. Actually, one other one I would just show you. I just thought this was very funny. That's it for the news. We'll hang out and talk, though. There was a weather, what do we call it? The weather woman? whatever they're meteorologist, but a meteorologist with a local TV station in Minnesota. And I just thought this was really funny. It just cracked me up.
58 right now in the Twin Cities. It's a comfortable Tuesday night. 46 in Hinckley, 57 in Marshall, 50 is the current temperature right now in Winona. Ooh, that's funky. What is going? Ooh. I don't really know what's going on. Oh man. Do you guys want one Jennifer or two Jennifers?
I just love this.
Oh, this is having a technical moment.
Can you lead that train off?
Wait, what now?
Can you lead that train off the screen?
Watch this. Yeah, well, that was my favorite.
Current temperature is 58 degrees. I have no idea what that was, but that was brilliant.
Oh God,
Yes, it
that was. I just thought that was like the best.
41 for overnight low temperature.
And she just keeps laughing. That just had me cracking up. I love that. I thought that was the funniest damn thing. But I love that she's like, let's just keep going. Oh God. Anyway. All right, guys, let's hang. We got 15 more minutes to hang. So your questions or anything, I'm going to adjust so I can sit back. Up. Oops. There we go. Oops. Hello. There we go. Keep the gifts coming, guys. I always hate to ask, but, I do this for a living, so your gifts support my work, so I appreciate it. Thank you, Cricket. Oh, there we go. All righty. Oh, my gosh. You're getting 6 inches of snow in Denver? Oh, my God. That's funny. Yeah, it was 76 today. Very nice here. A little warm, to be honest. Right now it's 74. It's still gorgeous out. Absolutely gorgeous. Can a doctor do anything if they think Trump is unfit? No, they cannot. Thank you, Andy, for the gift. Nobody can. The only people who can do something if Trump is unfit is his cabinet. And even then, the cabinet can get overruled by the Congress. Trump can say no, and then it's got to go to Congress, and I believe the vote is 2/3 or something like that for the Congress basically having to vote. So it's horrible. It's horrible. Even if the cabinet says he's unfit, Congress has to, Trump can say no, and then Congress would have to vote. And of course, Republicans aren't going to kick, they're not going to, thank you for the beehive, says Spider. Republicans are not going to kick him out, right? So very, very bad stuff. No, it's crazy. I mean, it's absolutely crazy. Oh, that's true. Justin mentioned a story. This came up this weekend. Story from late last week. Yep. U.S. bases in the Middle East were far more extensively damaged from Iranian attacks than Trump had divulged, much more than the Pentagon let on. Yeah, that apparently, oh, thank you, Dave. Is that Dave? Oh, that's Cricket. Dave, too, but thank you, Cricket, for the sloth. Appreciate that. That the U.S. bases were, tons of damage to U.S. military bases in the Middle East. By the way, thanks to the Iranians and thanks to the Russians who gave them satellite information to help them target it. So, yeah. Yep. Anyway, lovely. Hello, you. I still got to take her bed. I'm going to, use my feet to try to crush her bed the other way. There we go. That's a little better. All right. Ugh, that's funny. All right, that's not too bad. It's not great, but it's not too bad. Anyway, the White House doctors added to Trump's height. Remember that the first term? They claimed Trump during the first term. They claimed Trump. Thank you, Fanny, for the gift. They claimed Trump had reached 6'3" He'd never been 6'3" in his life. He's actually 6'1", or at least he was 6'1". Then he started to get 6'2", and then he hit 6'3". Yes. The U.S. base is closing in Germany. 5,000 troops are being removed from Germany, but there's more than that. I think there might be 30 or 35,000, something like that. So let's see. He's also threatening to go after U.S. troops in Italy and Spain. So who the hell knows? The problem is he doesn't care about U.S. national security, so he doesn't care if he's hurting the U.S. by actually removing the troops. He wants to hurt you guys. The problem is he wants to hurt you anyway. And this is what I keep saying. You caved to him last year. Remember last year with all the tariff bullshit and Europe? Remember the Europeans were like, oh, we're not going to put any tariffs on him to retaliate. Or the Brits. No, it was the Brits. We're not going to put tariffs to retaliate. He fucked you anyway. He doesn't like you. He's going to screw you over. So as far as I'm concerned, I think, you guys ought to tell Trump to take a hike. Even with the troop thing, honestly, I'd be worried about the Russians invading, but also the Brits and the French have nuclear weapons, and they should probably make very clear that if the Russians step 1 foot on their soil, that's going to be the end of them. But there's a part of me that feels like the Europeans ought to say, you know what, just get out, right? Just get out, leave, right? Germany, just say, just leave. You're going to be a jerk about it? Get out of here. I would literally say, like, you know what? You want to do Putin's dirty work, do Putin's dirty work. But he's made clear he's not your friend. He's made clear he's going to screw you over. He's made clear that anything you do to try to placate him, he knifes you in the end, and he turns on you in the end. There's nothing you can do to make him accept that you're his friend. He will always want something else months later, and he'll get pissed again. So at this point, just, because obviously you're going to get involved in the war in Ukraine, yeah. Just because I think also, too, make the Pentagon worried. That's what I think, because the Pentagon will not be thrilled if you kick all the troops out of Europe. And not that the U.S. military is going to turn on him in a coup, but they may turn on him in the terms of people speaking out, people retiring, people quitting, right, criticizing him. That's what I would do. But, I'm not saying I would kick U.S. troops out entirely, but I would keep it in mind, because at some point, this guy needs to be shown, you know what? There's a whole world out there without you. And yeah, you want to make the U.S. irrelevant? Okay. See how your military feels about that. See how Republicans in Congress feel about that. Because we use U.S. troops in Europe to pre-position ourselves for the Middle East, for Africa, right? It's not, thank you for the gift there. It's not the safest thing. Oh, thank you, Brown-Eyed. It's not the safest thing for the U.S. to use troops out of Europe. Our troops aren't going to be safe if they're brought out. That's the problem. If we remove our troops from Europe, we're putting the rest of our troops in more danger, because they're not going to be able to go. They're going to have to go much farther, and it's going to be much more dangerous missions. So congratulations. But of course, if you're working for Vladimir Putin, that's what you want. So, thus Trump is doing it. Anyway, what else, guys? We got a couple more minutes here. What else? Sasha, I know. She's being difficult. Really? Don't do that. As always, again, I've cleared the room under the table. Go this way. Thank you. She's trying to go under the microphone stand again, or the camera stand. I've got a tripod up for the camera, so of course she wants to go under it. I'm like, thank you, you goofball. That's right, you can go that way. No, her back is hurting her a little today, but I think she fell out of bed this morning, which I was like, oh God. So I finally removed the bed frame. I've got it lying against the wall, so my mattress is now on the floor, and I've got my ramp, so the ramp is perfect now. And if she happens to fall out of bed, she's 10 inches off the floor. And carpeting. So with 10 inches, she's in a much better position. But she kind of slipped out of bed, and we then took a walk, and I'm wondering if the combination wasn't the best. I wasn't thinking she had hurt herself, but now she's walking much more like her butt is kind of sore. She's on her medicine, of course, but I feel bad. Let me see. Just reading here. JTA was talking about Iran's wells getting damaged. That was something I read a week ago. Basically, that the longer Iran is not able to export oil, the more that because basically Iran is still pumping oil. They're having to store the oil, but pretty soon they're going to run out of storage, and then they've got to shut down their wells. I don't understand what happens, but something happens when you shut down the wells. JTA was saying the oil congeals. I was reading something else, whether it's water or something else floods the wells, and it's permanent. Like, you can't reopen, for whatever reason, you can't reopen the wells. I'm not sure. I don't remember now what the reasoning was, but it damages the wells. And it was saying, I think it was 500,000 barrels a day that Iran could lose if in fact the wells, if they can't pump oil soon. So that could potentially bring Iran to the table. But part of the problem is, they're a terrorist state. They could, right? But they're a terrorist state. They could just, you know, I don't think of Cynthia. I mean, they've used suicide bombers before. I mean, people who use suicide bombers aren't willing to lose some of their oil. They're willing to lose their lives. They might be willing to lose some of their oil. So I don't know. I don't know that we're dealing with a normal country in terms of, oh my God, right? We wouldn't want that to happen. I don't know. Jens, thank you for that. Jens, how is my citizenship process going? Fine. I mean, I'm on hold till next week. So next Monday in a week, I have my oath, my citizenship oath. I become a Greek citizen. At this time next Monday, I will be an American and a Greek citizen. I'll be officially European. Woo-woo. So that's very good. I'm very excited. So, yay. Hello, you. I know. All right. Anyway, exactly. Very excited. Oh, man. What else? Did that not happen in Kuwait or other Gulf states? That's a good question. I don't know what's happening with, that's a good question because like Kuwait can't, well, I shouldn't say can't export any oil. It depends. They may be using pipelines going out of, cute Daffy. They may be, or, oh, Daffy, I'm calling you Daffy. It's David. I'm forgetting your name is Welsh or something. I'm going Daffy. His name is Welsh or something and it's David. I've only seen that name like once before I saw that name because I remember looking and going, David? But that's very funny. Daffy. I like Daffy, though. That's funny. Once you have dual citizenship, you do not have to pay taxes in both countries. You only have to pay tax. Only the Americans do that. There are not that many countries in the world that make you pay taxes just because of your citizenship. Americans do. As Americans, anywhere we live in the world, we still have to pay U.S. taxes, no matter where we live in the world. It's shitty. The rest of the world, not so much. So Greeks would not expect me to pay taxes unless I live in Greece more than 6 months a year. And even then, there are tax treaties that cover some of it. You know, and we'll see. I mean, I'm a European, really, is what I would be, because I could go live in France, I could go live in Italy. Each country treats retirement or treats the taxes differently. So it depends. But no, you don't have to really do it unless you spend more than 6 months there. And even then, it depends. In France, if you're retired and you spend 6 months there, they're probably not going to tax you on anything from what I found, because the U.S. will tax you. If you're in Greece, they'll tax you a small amount for 15 years if you want, and then a lot. In Italy, forget it. In Italy, you're screwed. So unfortunately, the taxes in Italy, there's no advantage for going there as a retiree, really, which kind of sucks. I didn't look at the other countries. But you have to, it's very complicated. Unfortunately, it's very complicated as an American because we're still taxed. But also, it's not just that. I mean, European taxes are so much higher than American taxes. Thank you, Andy, for the gift. European taxes are so much higher than American taxes that as an American, it's something you've got to take into account because they could be twice what we tax. It could literally be twice as much, which is a hell of a lot more to be taxed. You know, India. I've never been to India. I don't think I'd go to India for retirement just because I don't know it. You know, Indonesia would be a cheap place to retire. That's for sure. I could get my $18 massages as often as I want. Hour and a half massage for $18. Yes. I could use those, that's for sure. You know? Correct. You guys get health care? Oh no, trust me. I mean, taxes are higher, but I think it's a nicer place to live in many ways. The health care is great, and you're not gonna go bankrupt from health care problems. A lot of healthcare, like in France, healthcare is great. I mean, I know France personally. Yeah, Portugal. Portugal has got some kind of a decent deal. Malta, Cyprus. These are for retirees. You know. Oop, we're almost done here, guys. Well, the contribution is for the pension fund. For healthcare, there's just a period. Like in France, you have to be there 3 weeks or 3 months, and then you can apply for healthcare. Greece, it might be 6 months. I forget what it is. I don't know if there's a monthly payment. There might be a monthly payment, but again, it's way better than what. Oh, was there a goat? I missed it. How did I miss the goat? Who did a goat? I must have been looking away. Who did a goat, Ash? I'm not even seeing the goat gift come up here. I'm scrolling up and I'm not even seeing a goat. Who did a goat? Did somebody do a goat? So we have a gift that triggers a goat, but I don't recall. I'll do one. In Greece, Dario, I had read it was 15% for 15 years, I believe what it was, not 10 for 10. I thought it was 15 for 15 because I was looking at it. I don't think it's 10 for 10. Hey, Italy is like even less. Sasha, I'm not letting you out yet because I have to keep an eye on you because you're going to eat my plants and dirt, and I'm not having you eat more dirt right after I bathed you. So, all right, guys, I'm going to go. We're at 7:15, our usual cutoff point. So thank you for joining. I will be back tomorrow, 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock. I'll be back at 6 o'clock Eastern Time, U.S. tomorrow. Okay, yeah, maybe it's for, well, I'll have to check on that. Yeah. It's Greece is like if you haven't lived there for 2 of the last 5 years or something like that, or 2 of the last 10 years, or I forget what it was. Any case, I'll double check, but I'm pretty sure it was 15% for 15 years. But for 15 years, which is not bad. Although 10% is still nice too, but 10 years is less. Anyway, all right, guys, have a good night. I will see you all tomorrow. Thank you for joining. All right. Not Substack, Discord, we start with you first. Thank you, NJ. Thank you, Justin. See you guys. All right, let's get YouTube and Substack, and then Discord or TikTok, your last. All right, bye, guys.